I mean, I feel like what Wakanda and Black Panther is being used for is just a way of like storytelling of about what you feel about America and what you feel about political figures in America and so forth and so on. And you're using these characters as a way to kind of like be your soapbox.
It's so funny you say that, because that was going to actually be my next point. Like, you know, the one story they haven't done. The closest we had was a story in the Priest Run, where the world is afraid of Wakanda. So they should have this figured out by now. So this is the storyline that I'm intrigued by. Wakanda looks at the world and looks at its corruption
and take over.
Looks at the corruption of the world leaders. Looks at Putin. Looks at Trump and say, this is the corrupt superpowers of the world. Why are we holding ourselves back and being silent at this blatant corruption? Why don't we take over the world?
Exactly. That's
the storyline I want to see.
That was exactly what I was about to say.
I want to see
the story where
let's go. Wakanda versus everybody.
Exactly. That's
the story I want to see. Give me that story. And you know how you explain it? You know how I explain it? You say that this T'Challa that we have, who's hashtag not our T'Challa, this T'Challa is actually this. A Skrull. And you tied into the fact that this T'Challa, this emo, nihilist, cuckolded T'Challa who's weak and
that's where they're going with this. I think that is definitely a part of who he is. I feel like where this has to go, I'm 100% on board with what you're saying. Is just Wakanda takeover. I would love to see,
but that's not T'Challa though.
But no. But see, I think you have to evolve a character. Like he can't stay the same, and so we don't want to deconstruct him. We have to evolve him. We can keep him who he is, and we can have him rationalizing on a higher self of why this has to take place.
It's not aspirational enough, because think about it. The whole premise, and this I keep talking about this. The whole premise of Ridley's run, the whole premise as to why T'Challa is disgraced, is one concept: that he was bad because he set up secret agents across the world, like literally every other superpower in the world. That storyline makes no sense.
Right.
What would actually make more sense? Because everyone's saying you're a tyrant, T'Challa. You're a tyrant because you have a secret police, which Wakanda's had for 10,000 years, and he's just basically doing the same thing every other Black Panther has done before him. So that never made any sense. What would have made more sense is take it further than that. Have him actually be a tyrant. Have him say, you know what? I am tired of holding myself back. I'm tired of holding Wakanda back. Your world leaders are corrupt. Trump is corrupt. Putin's corrupt. Leader of North Korea, corrupt. I'm just going to clean it up.
Yeah.
You know, you saw in the Black Panther movie where his boy was like, Wakabi was like, you know, give my guys the permission, and we'll go to all these countries and we'll clean it up within 6 months.
I don't see that character doing that because it will.
I understand that, but if you want to expand the character and you want to do new things with the character, take it to places like that.
You have to do things that are within the context of the character. T'Challa's main thing has always been about the protection of his people and the Wakandans.
Yes, the best defense is the best offense.
Trying to take over the world would bring conflict to the Wakandans.
Yes,
T'Challa would not do that.
That's the whole point.
T'Challa would not do that.
Now, to your point, Mark, I get what you're saying. So the best way. So here's the problem, and here's where I think Ridley went. See, it's 6 on one side, half a dozen on the other. So we don't want to, like, T'Challa has to be T'Challa, but at the same time, you have to have a story for T'Challa. And so he chose the path of deconstructing him, which allowed him to kind of wax on and be poetic about, you know, all this Americanization. I mean, having the title, the colonists on there. Obviously you're talking about America here, so we get you now. But see, here's the thing. You know how hard I think it would be to fully to write a Wakandian takeover. Like you have
hard.
No, it would be hard because, and here's why I say hard. It'd be hard because at the end of the day, where are the stories where we 100% have our identity and we're on top all the time?
With all due respect, Brian, I could write that story in a weekend.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying what I'm talking about is culture. I'm talking about culture, and I'm talking about the American culture. I'm talking about the comic book industry. Where is the story where the African or Black or whatever term culture is on top, has its identity? Wakanda has its identity. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to take this. You're actually going to make Black people leaders. I mean, it's kind of like what we're doing with Black Cotton, like the audacity. Right. Oh, wait! You're going to have Wakanda take over the world? Come on! I mean,
that's the storyline I want to see.
I understand. Listen, I understand that you want to see that, Paul. I get it. I understand it. But there are certain things about the characters that are inherent in them. As an example, his counterpart is Steve Rogers. I think we can all agree that Captain America is the version of America. You know, the idealized version of America. Same thing with T'Challa, who is the idealized version of Wakanda. Captain America would never say, you know what? I don't like who's the president. I don't like the way he's taken our country. So me being Steve Rogers, Captain America, I'm going to take over America because I know best.
We should have a storyline where if you want to do a deconstructed evil version of T'Challa, have a deconstructed evil version of T'Challa try to take over the world. Okay, that would be an interesting what-if storyline.
Okay.
That's different.
Okay.
Go ahead,
okay.
Brian raising his hand. Go ahead.
All right. So the way I think to do this would be, and I'm going to go back to what is like fan favorites here. The simplest way is to have Storm and T'Challa together, have them be married. Storm has an opposing view of how things should be with the whole world and with Wakanda and the role that Wakanda can play. And I think she could then say, look, here's what we need to do. T'Challa, he, like Mark is suggesting, is like, wait a second, there's a more roundabout way. There's a more judicious way to do this. But of course, Storm kind of pushed things forward. And so we had these two powerful figures with kind of opposing viewpoints, and Storm proceeds to do what she thinks is best. And I think here's where it should have went. Instead of making Wakanda a democratic state, if you wanted to change things up, T'Challa could have shared power with Storm and had it official to where like her word, my word, the same. And so now you have these two opposing views, and she could push a certain world takeover forward while he's kind of trying to hold it back. Then once again, you have this relationship, family dynamic between him and her, while still dealing with the whole world, including the Avengers. This puts Wakanda and Avengers in crosshairs. This also puts X-Men, Avengers, and Wakanda in crosshairs. You have a huge storyline here that can center all the way around Wakanda, where you have this family, Storm and Black Panther connected, and they're not going to break their bond. This is a problem between them, but they are still together. And you have Wakanda that they're still holding together. They're not going to break apart. But you have outside forces that are connected to them, Avengers and X-Men, who's like, wait a second, we can't have this. I believe that fits all of their personalities. And it would be
instead of doing like the current storyline of Avengers versus X-Men versus Eternals, it would be Avengers versus X-Men versus Wakanda.
100%.